Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Jesse. This is my garage, and today I'm going to show you how you can test the alternator on your car using one simple tool, a voltmeter right here. So this is the car we're going to be working on. I'm going to show you how to do it with one simple tool. Let's go right now. First thing we need to do is set our multimeter. We're going to be working with DC voltage. So when we go to change our voltage, we just need to go to look for 20 volts. Don't need to use any of these other numbers because we're not going that high or that low. So we're gonna go to 20 volts. All right, then we'll go to our negative terminal and our positive terminal with the red and the black leads. That's gonna come over here and tell us what our battery voltage is. Now this battery voltage is 12.2. That's perfect. That's just what we need to be looking for, and it's not dropping down. So that tells us that it's holding charge. Next thing we're gonna do is get our car started, get our alternator charging, and then read the voltage output that the alternator is putting to the battery and make sure it's enough to charge our battery and run our accessories. Alright, so with the car running and the alternator charging our battery, we can see that our battery voltage is up at 14.2. This is just where we want to see it. We can go up to 14.7 and then pretty much like down to 14. That's a reading we want to see. Anything lower than that 14, if we're in the 13s, it's going to tell us that the alternator isn't charging it enough. When we start running accessories, we're going to have a problem with getting enough battery voltage. That's where you're going to have your problem starting the vehicle. Once you drive it, it won't want to start because your alternator didn't charge up your battery. And if it's more than 14.7, that means that our alternator is overcharging the battery, and we don't want to see that either. Of course, our leads are just hooked up the same, red to positive, black to negative. We can see it's just steady voltage. Let's turn on some electrical loads like lights, radios, HVAC system, and make sure that it's consistently holding that 14.2, that 14 to 14.7 charging rating. That makes sure we can handle the electrical load. If not, then we're gonna have a problem with our. All right, and I went ahead and turned on the brights, the radio, the blower motor for the air conditioning, and as you can see, we're still above a 14 volt output from our alternator with all that electrical load. So this is good. We're not gonna have any problems. Our alternator is charging the battery well enough to handle the electrical loads and keep our battery fully charged, so we're not gonna have any problems with it. If we saw a lower number under 14 volts in the 13 range, we would want to probably replace our alternator. All right, and with all the electrical loads turned back off, we can see our alternator output jump back up to the 14.2. And a couple quick tips if you are going to replace the alternator on your 300ZX. Number one is you're going to have to pull the radiator out. It's just the easiest and fastest way to do this. Pulling the radiator out isn't a big deal. Just disconnect the lower fan shroud, just a little piece of strap of plastic that'll allow you to slip the fan shroud and the radiator all out at once, and then just disconnect the hose clamps from the radiator hoses where the engine meets up. It's all right in the front. It's all actually pretty easy. The radiator will just pull right out. Second thing we're going to need to do is unbolt just the mounting bolt, the slide bolt and the mounting bolt for the power steering pump. Not disconnect the power steering pump. We don't have to open it at all. We don't have to take the return line off. We don't have to take the high pressure hose line off of it either. We just have to disconnect the slide bolt and then the bolt that holds it in place on its bracket, and that way we can move the power steering pump out of the way and you can get to your alternator. No problem. If you're gonna do this on your 300ZX or any car, make sure you disconnect your battery. Black lead first, the negative battery terminal, positive battery terminal. Go ahead and pull your battery out. Then I also will just throw it on a charger while I'm doing the service, just because it hasn't been getting properly charged. Might as well, it's a good time to top it off while you go ahead and work on your vehicle. All right, well, if you need to do this on your vehicle, just button down, do it. It's not that bad. It does take a little bit of time. Hopefully you can diagnose and tell you if your alternator is bad or if your battery is bad. Honestly, hopefully it's just your battery, because that's a lot easier than the alternator. I've got a link in the description below for the tools that I used on this that we talked about: multimeter, battery charger, really just simple stuff. Should definitely have that stuff in your arsenal toolbox so you can work on your 300ZX and it doesn't leave you stranded at all. Hit me up with any questions that you have, that stuff that we might need to look at, diagnose, and fix, because you know the 300ZX, you got to do it all. 30-year-old vehicle, it takes a lot to keep them up. This was the first time my 300ZX died and left me stranded, but it's fixed now and I have no worries about driving it every day. We're going to DD this 300ZX. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one.